Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition, very close to our sesquicentennial edition of the CantinaMX podcast. Sesquicentennial is a big word, but the only reason I know it is because when I was living in Texas 30 years ago, Texas had their sesquicentennial. So 150th anniversary, which is where we are approaching. I think this is episode 148, so we're just a couple away from our 150th show here at the CantinaMX podcast. Glad to have you with us. Glad that you're joining us. Glad that we are glad to be here with you as well. My name is John Jagu. I'm very happy to be here. Still nursing my my post World Cup cruda, as I'm sure you guys are as well. But my cruda was helped a lot by Pumas. That's right, Pumas getting not only a victory in Veracruz, and then they had to go to an even more humid Tampico, endure a gol de chilena and two blackouts, and they still pulled out the victory in Tampico yesterday in Copa MX. So Pumas starts the 2018-19 campaign with 2 wins in a matter of 4 days. It can only be a harbinger of things to come, which we'll discuss here in the CantinaMX podcast. We have a lot to discuss actually for being just 10 days after a World Cup is over. You'd think that this is like our dead period, and we're biding time before, as the season starts. But the season already started. There's a new FMF president that was made official today. Was given. He made his debut. He was escorted by his brain trust, Yon de Luisa. We will discuss that as well. But I can't do anything without introducing our panel first. Joining us from beautiful Kyle, Texas, in the southeast greater Austin metropolitan area, Albert El Chiquis Campa joins us. Albert, how are you, sir?
Hey, ¿qué pasa? Doing good. How's everybody?
Chiquis, did you survive the day that it was 112 or whatever it was here a few days ago? It was rough.
Oh yeah, I didn't go out too much, but yeah, I didn't feel it's sort of normal to me. The Arizona heat is what really kills me, but
really, see, I find it to be the exact opposite. I'm okay with the Arizona heat. I was in Pensacola last week, and it wasn't nearly as hot temperature-wise, but man, that humidity just tears me apart. But you grew up in Pensacola, so I'm sure you probably clear your sinuses. It probably clears your sinuses when you go.
You need a shower 2 times a day.
Well, glad to have you with us, Chiquis. We'll have a lot to talk about as we mentioned, but again, we want to make sure we get our panel introduced before we jump into any of that. And without further ado, we introduce a man who joins us from Southern California. I'm not sure exactly where. I'm going to assume the OC, but can you call it the? Are you allowed to call it the OC? Is that?
I'm not even sure, John. I'm pretty new here, but I'm in Irvine now.
Irvine. I have actually slept in Irvine, California.
Oh yeah.
At the when Texas played Alabama, the Texas team hotel was at the Fairmont actually, so it's a very nice team hotel. Which is a big step up from where we would normally stay when we traveled, which was the Hampton Inn. So very nice for us to stay in Irvine. I did make the mistake, however, of going down and having the breakfast buffet.
Oh.
Yeah, it was rough. It was like my entire per diem down the toilet with the breakfast buffet. Were you
talking about because of the price or because it made you sick?
Well, both. No. The food was delicious, but the breakfast buffet price was eye opening. It was all. And
it was pre-Cantina days, right? You didn't have that.
That's right. No, I did not have the Cantina money train carry me forward like we have here at the CantinaMX podcast.
Soccer Chronicle funds.
That's right. Mailbox money is the best kind of money, as we all know, and mailbox money is like it's just as steady as it gets. Anyway, Joel, lots of big news. Chivas. We're gonna start. That's a little too low. I need Joel, I apologize. Let me give you a. That's just embarrassing. Hang on. Let's see. Here we go. Did not win. They lost 2-1 to Cholos in Tijuana.
Yeah, shockingly.
It ruined the Saturinos debut with Chivas. Even though they got a goal from an ex-Puma, Van Ranking was the one who scored for Chivas, but not enough. And once again, Chivas starts the season stubbing their toe.
It is, and then the media is starting to pile on the defeats from the previous season, which was a bit of what Almeida left behind.
Because if you combine their record from last season with the one game they've had, they've only won like 3 games in 3 out of like 38.
Yeah,
and it might only even be 2 games, honestly.
And 0 wins at home for league play. But yeah, I was hearing one of the reports, and they're saying Chivas now accumulates, and I was like, it's just, it's true what he's saying, but they're just making things seem worse than they are.
I was watching a little of the game, and the trash talking Guarita came in and saw what I was watching, and like an instinct.
Chivas, don't make me laugh.
I mean, just right off the bat. Was the first thing she said. First thing she said when she saw what we were watching. So, needless to say, she made me turn it off. So I was not able to watch the match in its entirety. But no, I did see that in Tijuana with a big win, and it doesn't get any easier for Chivas, Joel, because your favorite to win the LigaMX title is coming up for Chivas this coming week.
Yes, it's Cruz Azul. I'm not sure because I haven't seen the calendar. Is it a home match for Chivas or?
It'll be Chivas's home
at the
home
Zombie
debut.
Life.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I saw already Cardoso kicking the hornet's nest.
Really?
And yes, and he was fanning the flames, and I think I understand why he was doing it, but I think it has a potential to create the opposite effect. Especially with Cruz Azul having someone like Pelaez,
Sure.
He has like the, but he would, and I understand what he was doing it, and he was talking about how you don't need a lot of money to build a squad or to win a championship, and then he was saying how for 20 years Cruz Azul has invested, so much, and they haven't gotten anything for it. And it's like, oh man, you picked the wrong time to use that against them. I could have seen it working previous seasons, not so much right now.
So he's saying that Cruz Azul has basically spent a lot of for the past 20 years a lot of money only to unbelievable. Here I am trying to make some comedy magic, and I hit the wrong button.
I'm afraid I just blew myself.
So that could apply both ways. So that is interesting that he went there. Well, and Cruz Azul, I don't know if y'all happened to watch that game against Puebla. Puebla, by the way, outstanding new uniforms. They looked great. But there was a lot of people at the Azteca. I mean, that was, for just a regular season match, Cruz Azul drew about 50 grand in the at the Azteca. The stadium looked pretty good. I mean, even though it has that gigantic Club America, logo in the top portion of it.
I heard it wasn't good though. I heard because you could see the Club America logo that it showed that the attendance wasn't that good.
Yeah, but they're building their own stadium, right?
They are, and that's the reason why they're playing at the Azteca. Yeah. But the reality is that Cruz Azul, if you really think about it, the best seasons they ever had were when they were playing at the Azteca. So a lot of the closet Cruz Azul fans that are starting to reemerge, that went into we need to have a cementerio on the call. I'm hoping
man.
We need to get Metal on here. Maybe
Yeah.
if they start winning, he starts believing again. He'll.
Yeah, Marquitos is pretty far, man, and he no longer has even internet. He's in World's End now.
I thought he was living at the Petronas Towers, Marquitos.
But you know what, John? Just before we move on, I see Cardoso. What he's trying to do is change the narrative, because before he came in, and this was something that some of the players and even like Almeida were talking about. You need to bring in the players if you want to win. I'm obviously complaining that they had been selling off the top talent, and which was something that the club, it was a big necessity just because the money wasn't there to sustain a club,
Sure.
to pay all those wages. They just couldn't do it, and I that was one of the reasons why Almeida was let go. That the whole he wasn't on board with coaching a very inexperienced squad, or which now, like Al was telling me earlier, if a third straight, he misses Liguilla for a third straight tournament, and starts becoming more difficult for him to springboard. But just real quick, I think that's one of the things, because you can't have players like Pulido saying like, what can we do with just with canteranos? So he's trying to say like, what, I guess motivate his players and say we could do it. There's enough talent here to make something happen.
As always, the Chivas novela is just honestly, it has to be the best. I think outside of maybe Boca or River Plate. I mean, does it get any better than Chivas?
Yeah, Chivas could fuel Club de Cuervos for 10 more seasons, man. They could.
Yeah, I've only watched a couple of episodes of the Ballad of Hugo Sanchez. I haven't fully committed. Have you fully committed, Joel? Did
yeah, but you need to start with season 1, man. That's just,
no, I've already watched those. I'm saying I just haven't gotten to the ballad. I've only watched a couple episodes of the Ballad.
Well, I haven't seen the Ballad. I've just seen all the seasons of the regular series.
Yeah, well, the Ballad just came out this past month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to tune in and see how that turns out. So I didn't get a chance because I was just briefly on last week. Joel, did you say that Chivas was going to make Liguilla, or they're not going to make the Liguilla this upcoming season? Or did you even get asked the question?
Oh, he dropped off for.
No, I'm back. I had dropped off momentarily. What was the question, John?
Oh, the question was, did you say last week that Chivas was going to make the Liguilla or not make the Liguilla?
No, I think they're going to put a fight, but I don't see them making it.
But they won't embarrass themselves. They'll at least be in yeah,
at least they'll win. At least they'll win a few home games.
Yeah, well, they got. I mean, it's
you know what? It's a wacky. LigaMX could be pretty wacky, but I've seen a lot of teams that in the off season they just prepared. They did a really good job of preparing and building up their teams, and I think there's more competition since last season. You could say Necaxa is one of those teams. They've been slowly building their squad since they came back.
Well, I mean, Necaxa has the second coming of Sir Alex Ferguson coaching them, apparently.
Pretty. Well, he already won a cup with them, but I mean, it's yeah. There's other, and then Cruz Azul, obviously, they armaron su equipo, and then Tigres, this is like, I don't think they could go another season without winning anything with the club that they have. Monterrey is also, there's just a lot of teams, and some of the other teams dropping off, like Santos, who they do their usual, they win, and then they clean house and then rebuild.
Build it back up.
Yeah, and then you saw Pumas now. Starting with the right foot.
I will say this: this thing about Santos, Santos to me, for them to buy low and sell high the way they do, with not necessarily the Mexican players, but with their foreign players, and occasionally their Mexican players too, they've done pretty well for themselves over the past 10 years. and they did it again with the guys that they got rid of, Giannini particularly, and of course Nestor Araujo and
Izquierdos.
Izquierdos as well. So we don't have our. Of course, we're talking Santos now, which means that like in the past when you talked about La Volpe, which we have to talk about La Volpe here in a little bit.
They did bring a Pumas, John. Like Chivas, they look for a Puma to.
That's right. Lalo Herrera is now going to be where he has played before. So this isn't the first time that he has played there. And of course, we have the coach Siboldi, who defending champions with Santos. And now, as far as you're saying Tigres not winning, remember Tigres did win and have won the Apertura for like 3 out of the last 4 years. So they may not have won the Conca Champions, but they have been winning. And so I'm guessing that they will continue to win, or at least be in the conversation. I don't necessarily think that that not winning a trophy is a fracaso. Like for Tigres, if they don't make the playoffs, or if they lose in the first round, that's a major fracaso. But if they go to the final and lose, can you really call that a quote unquote fracaso?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so obviously they are, but it's gonna be hard for them to knock off Cruz Azul. And again, Cruz Azul, Peláez using the same blueprint he used in America as far as the players that he brought in. Instead of bringing in a bunch of guys that no one really knew about, or unproven in LigaMX, he filled his squad with proven LigaMX talent and gave them a proper preseason. And I think that's you're going to see that's going to pay dividends compared to where Cruz Azul in the past, would make signings, up until the late August transfer deadline. The worldwide deadline, and then like by jornada 9, they have, hey, look, here's your nuevo refuerzo coming in for.
They will bring injured players.
Exactly.
They'll get re-injured during training.
Like broken Santa Cruz. I couldn't believe they signed. I think he was a great player, and I love the way he played. But the guy just couldn't stay healthy.
They brought him in a stretcher.
They have a good mixture because they still have Cata Dominguez there.
They just rolled him into
Aguilar.
Oh, you mean their squad, their current squad?
Yeah, their current squad.
Oh man,
they didn't bring in great players. They brought in.
That's what I'm talking about. But they brought in proven LigaMX players, which is exactly what Peláez did at Club America.
I know from last season who was. He showed some interesting things.
I like Elias Hernandez. He had a good goal.
Oh, he's one of those known commodities, man.
They brought in Roberto Alvarez from or I forget what his first name is, but the young kid from Necaxa was one of he was the one that had a really good tournament in Toulon along with Lainez, and the guy that scored all the goals. So it is a squad that is built to compete with players that have proven that they can compete and compete well in the league. Why more teams don't follow this recipe frankly baffles me.
Okay. It's not too surprising. Like this lineup, I wouldn't think, looking at Cruz Azul, I wouldn't think that they would be a super awesome team, because they have Jerry Flores, who's sort of older, Cata Dominguez, who hasn't been like the greatest player, but they add a mix of other really good acquisitions like Pablo Aguilar, and then Elias Hernandez, and then these this Argentinian, I think you're Roberto Alvarado.
Yeah, that's the kid from Necaxa.
Yeah, Caraglio.
Yeah, they got Caraglio.
But Caraglio, again, he was from with Atlas, right? A proven Liga MX goal scorer, which they had.
And if you could score goal with Atlas, man.
Exactly.
Trial by fire, man.
Poor Atlas.
You could score there. You could score at Cruz Azul, dude.
Seriously, just for the poor Atlas fan. And especially listening to this show. It's like
help! I'm being repressed.
It just.
Hey, they have Rafa Marquez now as what is he? He's like a general manager. And I see he's still doing a despedida, man. This guy is doing a despedida every 2 months.
He's like those rock and rollers that, that go on their fourth and fifth farewell tours.
Yeah, but so I mean, I don't know, man. Hopefully, he brings something good to the table, just for the sake of Atlas fans, man. Because that's just man. If you're an Atlas fan,
And
much
they're
credit to you, man.
As far as loyalty, I mean, it really is amazing that how well Atlas draws. Knowing that for, I mean, I mean, we don't make fun of them just because they haven't won a title. We make fun of them because they lose so. What's the word? I mean, just so consistently, awfully well. Just, I mean, it really is just.
And you know the fun.
They are true masters of at losing.
And you know that what the irony is that Atlas used to be the team of like if you were well off, if you lived in Guadalajara, if you were well off, upper middle class, you were an Atlas fan, and you know the académicos, you know you were well studied and all that, and if you were Chivas, you were part of the working class, and the joke used to be, how do you know who's playing at the stadium? And it's like if you see bicycles, it's a Chivas game, but if you see like limousines, it's an Atlas, or if you see like fancy cars.
Well, if you hear our friend of the show, Tom Marshall, talk about Atlas, he says that they're very that it's a very hipster crowd that follows them in Guadalajara. So they must have started to follow Atlas ironically, and then like they got bitten by the Atlas bug, so they're afflicted. They can't help it.
So like the Morrissey of the LigaMX.
That's right.
A lot of wailing.
That's right.
A lot of cause to be down.
We've talked about your self-loathing, Joel. I guarantee that the self-loathing with an Atlas fan is 100 times more magnified than it is for just about anybody else.
But
I mean, that's about the true, 50-year-old, bitter Atlas fan.
Ouch. Yeah, the self-loathing though is helped me. It's helped me, deal with this stuff, because I'm seeing my Chi hermanos, man. They're not coping well.
Well, you see, Joel, I've always felt that this show for you we were like peeling the layers of an onion.
Yeah.
To get to the core of the matter for you.
And this is another one I'm gonna hit my Chi hermanos with. Could be another brutal truth. Is the fact that is the fact that Almeida might not return. Like he might never coach again.
He'll coach again.
I mean, at Chivas.
Oh, that'll now. Yeah, well, they burned that bridge. And again, I understand his point. For because Almeida was like, yeah, okay, we had a bad season, but I mean, let's be honest. Chivas just would never. I mean, even from the very beginning of 2017, just could never get it together because, they had they just didn't have any preseason, and it ended up affecting them in both tournaments. That injuries, this and that. I know that they had just a terrible home record, but I mean, it's not like they were playing terrible. They just they were in a rut, and for the upper management to just tear his team apart, get rid of the biggest and most important cogs of the team, and say, by the way, you're going to play with a bunch of 19-year-olds. Deal with it.
But he knew. No, he knew it. I've dug up old interviews where he's talked about that, so he was well aware. He was well aware of.
Well, just because he's aware of it, I mean, you have to like it.
No, I know, but then he should have then just left on his own terms instead of like dragging it out, and then it became this big deal, and then I think they made it even worse by like leaking that email. That's just
well,
that could have very well cost him the job at the national team. If he ends up not getting it, which is. I'm thinking if they wanted him, they would have already signed him.
Possibly. No, I don't think so because they always drag
it out.
They don't make this decision until like October or November. So they
like the novela.
Yeah, this is not a surprise, and well, I guess it's a good time to get into that because today down in I guess at their fancy new place, I think it was outside of Toluca, if I'm not mistaken, the FMF had formally presented their new president, a very young president, Yon de Luisa. Of course, I use the term young loosely. He's in his late 40s, born a year before I was, 1970. And he has his track record at where he has been, whether it's with America or even Televisa and spots in between, has been pretty exemplary. I mean, this is a guy that knows, that seems to know what he's doing. He led America in the early part of the 2000s. Was one of the suits there. They won a few championships under his while he was in the front office, and then he went to Televisa after that. And before leaving Televisa, he was able to secure some properties that they probably at one point took for granted that they would be getting. So he was able to help them there. He has his bachelor and a master's degree from right here in Austin at the University of Texas. So he's a Longhorn, and take that for what you will. I happen to think that's a pretty cool thing that he is, and he comes in at a time where Mexico is going to need, at least at this on the senior level, they're in a period of transition. And with that said, I mean, it looked very clear to me after watching the press conference and creating a new position at the FMF, which is now not just the national team director, but the sporting director, which is what Memo Cantu is going to be doing. I'm assuming Memo's going to be a go-between between Dennis and Gerardo when it comes to the national team. And then he brought in the lady from Tigres to run I don't think they'd ever had a head of communications. So now they have a head of communications, which is, knowing how many times the FMX Foot has stubbed their toe when it comes to messaging and PR and optics, we'll call them. Again, another good move. So it was encouraging to see Joel. I don't know how you feel about it. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of cynicism just because of the fact that he's a Televisa guy. But I don't necessarily. I mean, yes, he is a Televisa guy, but he, while he was there, wasn't just there biding his time. I mean, the guy has obviously worked and done well where he's worked. This could work out very well for FMX Foot, I think.
Yeah, well, there's talk now that he's gonna get groomed to be, to get a position in FIFA, and we haven't had anyone since Guillermo Cañedo White, who was a vice president.
Right.
So I think it's very smart in FMF to want that type of representation again.
Well, it's obviously only a 4-year term, because I'm assuming that in 2023 he's going to leave to take over his duties as the organizer of the World Cup. Because I mean that will be a full-time. There's no way he can do both. So I'm pretty sure that's what he's already been named, that guy. So that's he ain't going anywhere for these 4 years. So it is.
Well, John, I feel he's going to be the full 8.
Dude, there's no way he can be both. There is no possible way he can.
Well, I mean, they kept Cantu, and they have a full squad, So I think he'll have enough time. I'll say plenty of time to prepare. But we'll see, man. We'll see.
Well, either way, it's. Now, what I was worried about when they made the announcements and the people that came out, I was like, man, there was no Torrado, there was no De Clos. I was like, dude, seriously, they didn't get rid of these guys, did they? But no, they're going to be in the roles that they had before, which was the head of the national teams and then the sporting director of the national teams, which is what Torrado is. So those positions remain unchanged. The big news, of course, outside of all of that, was the fact that when the name of Juan Carlos Osorio came up, that there were a lot of non-answer answers given as far as what was going on with basically saying the official message was, hey, we're still talking, but it makes me wonder. Go ahead, Chiquis.
I was just gonna say it was just a whole big fluff press conference, man. It was a big disappointment. Everyone wanted to know one thing, and they were talking about a bunch of other stuff.
Well, I think it was more to present the new president, though, more than anything, more than having.
I mean, in all honesty, they obviously were prepared with that answer because he gave it. I mean, I got it right here. I'll play it for you right now. This is Memo Cantu answering the question when they asked, because it wasn't De Luisa that answered. He said, I'm going to let Memo answer this question. This is his department. And so here is, let me see if I can find it. Hang on one second. If I have, here it is. Here it is right here. Hang on.
El América es una mierda.
Man, I keep hitting the wrong button. That is not correct.
Oh, man. No wonder right. Ron has been staying away.
Let's see. Here we go. Here is Memo Cantu. This was answer number one when they asked him the question. Here we go.
Bueno, obviamente el tema del técnico nacional es un tema, como ya lo ha mencionado John, es un tema muy importante. También yo creo que es un tema urgente, pero coincidimos en que es más importante que urgente y nos vamos a tomar el tiempo sin prisas para tratar de tomar la mejor decisión. Por favor.
So that was number one, and then here's number two. So they asked a little later basically the same question. So here was the answer for that.
Bueno, como me imagino que sabrán, al término de la Copa del Mundo termina contrato y hemos sostenido diversas pláticas. Aún no decidimos ambas partes qué camino tomar y en cuanto tengamos más información, con mucho gusto se los comunicaremos porque, como lo dije al principio, es un tema muy importante. Electoral en la Federación Mexicana de Fútbol, no de ahora, sino ya de hace mucho tiempo. Y creo que merecemos tomarnos el tiempo necesario para tratar de tomar la mejor decisión posible.
So let me
go ahead.
Let me ask you a question though. Like when I said this whole press conference was fluff and sure it was an announcement of the president and all that, how influential are these dudes, the long pants dudes, actually in what they stated their goal was, which is getting results, as opposed to like a head coach and the players? I mean, these guys don't do anything other than make money, or am I wrong? It's the head coach and the players that actually do the work.
Well, yeah, I mean, on the field it is, but I mean, you're absolutely right. But but these guys have to make those decisions, as far as who that coach is, and
yeah, I guess
they got to put the players in position, to play at their absolute best, which is one area that I do think that Osorio excelled at immensely, was his organization and administration of how a team should prepare, and I do hope that Mexico decides to incorporate a lot of the methods that were used in this and just make it part of their norm. Just make it procedural for them. Joel, please, I cut you off.
No, that's fine. I'm saying they play an important role, because they make sure that everything's running smooth. I mean, it could make the difference between a squad that's struggling to qualify to one that is breezing through qualifiers. If you and like one thing that FMF did around the time that La Volpe came in, they worked hard to organize all these tournaments because they knew it was important, because the team is not just a team, it's just a brand. So they needed to make sure Mexico was winning again, and they organized all these tournaments. I don't know if you guys remember, they had Olympic qualifiers organized in Jalisco. They had the Gold Cup. They had these things that ended up helping Mexico in the long run. And that's a lot of the things that they're doing when they brought someone like Dennis, who was already scouting players, and he's managed to bring two really good talents, two young talents, that the U.S. would have gladly. I think they had already been playing for the U.S. I'm talking about the midfielder from Monterrey and the young kid in Galaxy. So yeah, I do think having a competent FA could go a long way. I mean, look what happened in Argentina. All the infighting caused problems. And if you look back in some of the previous World Cup qualifiers, a lot of infighting has been at the root for the national team then crashing out or not doing as good as they should have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, Chiquis, we need to send Dano his invite again.
Yeah, I just sent it.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully he gets it.
Want to make sure that we was trying to figure out how to do it, but I wasn't able to.
Hopefully he'll get that one. Yeah, that's some good insight. That's some good insight, Joel.
Yeah, dude, no one is not surprised that they brought in the dude that was one of the guys that helped secure, a World Cup for Mexico. I mean, I know Mexico's not hosting it, but who doesn't want to play all their games at home? What club wouldn't want? I mean, what national team wouldn't want to play at their home venue? That's just a big plus to have.
Sure, and now I do have some of the things that Yonder Luisa talked about as far as what the I have like his 6 points, but I think some of the objectives I think is a little more interesting. So let me play that one here. Hang on one second.
Dentro de los objetivos de la federación, y como podrán ver en la representación de cada una de las diferentes direcciones que estamos en esta mesa, tendremos objetivos variados. No podemos dejar de mencionar que nuestros objetivos principales como Federación Mexicana de Fútbol son los deportivos y todo lo que tenga que ver con la parte deportiva dentro del fútbol.
So that was I really can't remember. I don't know if each one says the same thing, or that this is just but I don't seem to recall anybody else saying that. Am I wrong, or do they all say it? The part at the end about the main goal is to make it our main goal is the what's achieved on the field, not anywhere else.
I think they do say it to an extent, but what is he referring to of as being anything else, like money, or having the players make commercials and?
Well, I mean, I don't think that he would go out and actually say that, but I do think that
or what are they changing? What are they changing as? Well,
like I said, I mean, they've added this new position. They've added two positions, if I'm not mistaken. They had the communications, and they had the sporting, the director of sport of on the field stuff, which is what Memo Cantu is going to be. Now my thing about Memo is this position, Joel, just to be a go-between between Dennis and Gerardo and Yon de Luisa? Is he going to be or is he going to have more input in some of those decisions than?
I've heard, yeah, it's both, and I think input too, and I think it.
No one can believe it, Joel. No one can believe it.
No, and I think it's because Cantu is a football guy, man. So you mentioned earlier he was in the selección. He scored that fourth goal in the '93
by accident. It ricocheted off of him.
I wish I could score a goal by accident at the Azteca to help win the cup, man.
And that was back when they didn't have the capacity was it was 115,000 people. Imagine that, 150. And I think for that game, it had swelled up to like 125.
Would have Barr ruled that goal out, John?
Oh no, I mean it was a goal. Don't get me wrong. It was a goal, but it was like he knocked it in and like a ricochet. He just happened to be there. Oh yeah,
he was falling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think Luisa's not really football guy to that extent, you know. So I think it helps to have someone that's been in the game or that's been involved at all levels where you could get input from them. So I think that's part of the reason too,
Right.
you know. Yeah, I think some of the stuff that some of these other guys missed when you had like Necio and some of these other dudes, they just didn't have that, you know,
Well,
that extra knowledge.
I guess what he has done then, in essence, is to give kind of like how Piojo had Peláez
Yeah.
as someone to help him with, just basically to help him, you know, be like a bench coach kind of. Then would Memo Cantú then be Yon de Luisa's bench coach?
Yeah. Well, man, you know, I like to think that they have a pretty competent squad. I just feel that's someone he could like go off of. You know, if he has questions regarding something, he could just go to Memo and then get some input from him.
Right, and you know, Memo will obviously be one of the ones who's going to make ultimately the decision about Juan Carlos Osorio. And
Oh well, that's what I've heard otherwise, John.
Oh,
yeah, the some of the news making the rounds at the with the lavadoras.
The lavanderas, yeah.
With the lavanderas, yeah. I say washing machines. Is that that John does not like JCO, that he sees him as a good trainer, but not a coach, and that Memo did want to resign JCO, but that John said he gave it a thumbs down, man.
Well, I mean, it's something that we discussed when we wrote our World Cup postmortem. In the gentleman's agreement, you and I was, you know, that this guy did, you know, from, you know, 6 days a week, did everything right. You know, had the team, the team was on schedule down to, you know, when they, you know, had their third water break, you know, whatever it was. I mean, it was very meticulously planned. You know, he changed the way that they trained as far as understanding that his team does not play in Mexico City, the national team, that they play in Europe, most of them at sea level, that they had to figure out a way to train. So he did that thing where they went to Cuernavaca for a few days before they would train in Mexico City, and it seemed to help some. So and just on travel alone, he cut out 10, 12 hours of travel for your team, the guys that were coming in from Europe to play his qualifiers. So he changed a lot of that. He made it better for the players. I think the players responded and they got the results he needed. The one area where he seemed to have where Osorio was weakest is unfortunately the one that's the most important, which is getting the one result you need. And he had 4 chances and it didn't happen.
Yeah, and when the team was crashing, he never seemed to have like an answer. When the team was, when you could tell that they were losing, he never seemed to have like a plan B.
Right. And it just seems like in every decisive game that Mexico has in a World Cup, 9 times out of 10, they're always decided by some gamble that the coach decided to make at the last minute to go against his instincts for his philosophy and everything else for whatever reason, and he had his gut feeling of I should just roll with what I got against Sweden when it was like the absolute worst decision he could have made, and it didn't seem to make any sense. Knowing the way he was and the way that he'd prepared for everything, it just to throw all that away was it ended up being his fatal flaw at this World Cup. And the reality is though that so you're saying that Yon de Luisa doesn't want him, so obviously their overtures are still being made because nothing, if he was out, they would say he was out. But the fact that they haven't said that he's out officially makes me think that that if what you're saying is true, then there's got to be some convincing being, trying to be made. And the other thing that makes me wonder, Joel, is that it seems like, above all else, Yonda Luisas, at least on the field side, is betting on continuity. Keeping Memo, keeping Torrado, keeping Teclos. Because usually when these guys would come in, I mean, it would be Borrón and Nueva Cuenta, and everyone's out, and new guys in.
I think that he's the reason those guys came in, because they came in towards the end of the last cycle.
Right.
And I think they knew that, we all knew that Necio was leaving. So I think they just got to work early, They got working early on some of that stuff.
Gotcha.
And I think this goes way back to when there was that big meeting for the who had the rights for the national team, and Televisa won him for the next 8 years with that hidden clause.
Guess who was instrumental in securing that for Televisa?
Was it Dos Santos? Was it?
It was Yonder.
He was. He's the guy that found the hidden clause, John.
Yes.
I thought it was Iragorri.
He did find the hidden clause.
Yeah, he's he was going through that contract with a fine-tooth comb, and he's oh, look here, there's this renewal clause that you guys didn't see in the fine print.
That's right.
No, so he played a role, and man, that says a lot, And we mentioned it before, but that's the other thing that they're gonna look to do is get back to Copa America and Copa Libertadores. So I hope those two things happen.
Well, he did talk about that, and that is one of his objectives. Let me see if I can. I think it was objective number 4. Let's see if I can find that. Hang on a second.
Que chingue su madre el America.
That is obviously not it.
That is
obviously not it.
Wrong.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button again.
Wrong presser.
I think it was. I think it was this. Let's see if it was this one. Hang on.
Cuarto, consolidar la activa participación internacional de la Federación Mexicana de Fútbol, aprovechando hoy la extraordinaria relación que tenemos con las federaciones de Estados Unidos y Canadá, y desde luego participando en todo lo que sea posible dentro de la CONCACAF y de la FIFA.
So he didn't mention either CONMEBOL or the Copa America in that statement, but he did say in CONCACAF y la FIFA, which to me tells me that I think that you might be right. I think some people think that they could be over for Mexico and South American tournaments, but you seem to think, Joel, that if Televisa gets the rights, then Mexico's playing.
Yeah, they would return. I think they want, just because how much money the CONMEBOL makes from having Mexico. There's just way more ratings. There's just way more money in two big markets,
right?
Just Mexico and the U.S. And so I think that's kind of a reason how Telemundo ended up with some of the rights. They were probably on clearance. Telemundo swooped in, and he's like, "We'll show your games,"
Oh, you mean about the Copa America?
Yeah, Telemundo's gonna be showing it. It's like first time that it's gonna be on open air.
No, the Copa America was on. Has been on Univision for the past.
The Copa America, not on cable.
No, on Univision for the past. Although I think that the last one was on BN, if I'm not mistaken, but like in 07, 11, 03, those were always on Univision. It was until very recently that they moved off to. But I think a lot of the big reason for that, Joel, was because Mexico was sending,
the under 23. Well, that was and that was because of Jack Warner.
Right.
It's not because they wanted to. When Jack Warner was right there, he was forcing Mexico because they were trying to build up the Gold Cup. They were afraid that they would not take the Gold Cup serious, which was happening up until they said, okay, this is now, how they split it for the Confederations Cup. They
Right.
did the dual ticket, but
Yeah, but that's because the Gold Cup has a thing every 2 years, which it's a discussion we've had on the show many times. It is not necessary to have the Gold Cup every 2 years. It just for competitively, no, but I do understand why CONCACAF does it because it's essentially it's how they operate as the proceeds from that. So it's not going to change anytime soon for CONCACAF. So no news on the Osorio now. Joel, if what you're saying is right, then at what point will Juan Carlos Osorio be given his glorious send off to say, hey?
But they're saying already that it's been a done deal.
So you're saying that this is just a smoke screen that they're putting up?
Yeah.
Well, here's what I
think.
think. Here's what I think. That could very well be true, but and maybe that Luis says, hey, let's see who else. Let's put our feelers. I think that what's happening is that Mexico's not getting any. They're not getting any nibbles from the quote unquote bigger name coaches that they would deem someone that they could bring on to coach.
Well, no, man, I forgot what I was going to tell you, John. Damn, it's at the tip of my tongue. Yeah, completely wiped out of my mind.
I blew your mind, Hoyle. I blew your mind with what I was saying.
Yeah.
No, I mean I do believe that. I think that they that Osorio to me is still an option because he may be, outside of bringing in like a. I mean, the only one that's available right now is Almeida. Essentially, that doesn't necessarily have a gig. And
neither did Osorio, man. People were thinking that these guys had all these jobs lined up, and it's been, especially for Almeida, a lot of smoke and mirrors. It was his agent throwing out feelers.
Well, of course.
And he can't find a job. He's just been lobbying, and with JCO, if you see social media, his own countrymen don't want him. I think JCO's best bet is probably going to be the U.S. National team. As for Mex, it's like you said, man. I don't think they're too much in a hurry right now. And I just remember I was going to say because I missed most of the presser, man. I got to the last part, but I know there's going to be 2 upcoming friendlies, and what I had heard was that they were going to let other coaches sort of as a, homage.
So what they did in 2010, where they let Ojitos coach one, and
yes,
some totally like your, wasn't it your buddy?
Huh? My buddy.
Wasn't it Real that coached the other one? Like, you guys, like, why
He
is this
did,
guy?
yeah.
I mean, that was
Real coached, and then the other guy from the Mexico's Chucho Ramirez also coached.
Yeah.
So I was hearing that they were going to let Vasco coach one game and then La Volpe coach another one. So I don't know if they talked about that at the presser because I missed.
No, they did not. They did not come up. They only had they only asked like 6 or 7 questions. I mean, they kept it very short and to the point. With that, I mean, he introduced basically the org, the folks in the org chart, the heads of the org chart, the communications person, the sales guy, the admin guy, the operating guy, and then the new sporting position, and then the guy, the guy who's in charge of all the refereeing and legal decisions, I guess, the arbitrator, guy by the name of Gilberto Hernandez, I think it was, who looked like he was one of someone that hadn't been part of FMX Food before. He was on the Comité Olímpico at one point, I believe, and also he mentioned that he was one of the he'd been served as a judge over at TAS as well. So he definitely has that background as well.
Your boy Tuca has been getting a lot of traction.
To be the coach?
Yes, sir.
People don't like Tuca, man.
So what, man? People don't have to like him. If Yon and if Dennis, and I think Dennis worked at Tigres, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, if they could give him the guarantees that Tuca wants, well, he's the one guy that's
basically all Tuca wants is I don't want to do all those stupid commercials. Seriously, that's all that's what he didn't want to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, there's and then John, speaking of commercials, who's the lady that is gonna hit some of that stuff for FMF?
It was her first name was Beatriz, but she was the head of communications at Tigres before she came over.
Someone that's worked with Tuca as well. I mean,
not only works there, but probably Tuca's calming influence.
I'm seeing a trail of breadcrumbs there, John.
That's smoking mirrors, dude.
If you want to lure in the Tucan, you already got two people he's worked with, really close. If he could bring in his boy Mejia Baron, man, rematch from '94 World Cup.
That's smoking mirrors, Joel. You want to talk about smoking mirrors? The girl and Tuca, they don't even. Who knows if they work together? She's with the Femenil, and what is she gonna do to influence it? She's just gonna. Do
a lot of those guys know each other, man. They do Christmas parties and stuff like that.
Yeah, that don't mean nothing.
Come on, man.
And Tuca, in my opinion, is like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with MMA, like Conor McGregor. He won 2 championships. But then he never fights again. He doesn't want to fight because he knows he's going to lose the next time. That's what I see Tuca, man. He took the national team to win that CONCACAF Cup, and then since he's gone, man. He's like he's going to leave on a high note. He's like George Costanza.
No,
he says I'm out.
Tuca's like Mayweather, man. He's gone to every fight on his terms, and he's always come out on top. He's the only coach that has never been fired, man. That's like Guinness Book of Records stuff for LigaMX. Seeing how most coaches won't even make it 6 months. This guy's been like over a decade. Yeah, man. This guy he knows how to manage himself.
I think Dan's team handed Tuca a defeat, didn't he?
Yeah, but I'm saying as a manager, he's never been fired. He's never been sacked. He's never burned any bridges.
I do. Before we continue, Joel, I do see that. I hope it hasn't been long that he's been joining. But Daniel Preciado joined us from Escondido. Dan, how are you?
Pretty good. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm having, I guess, technical difficulties, but
yeah, it's
good to be on.
Glad to have you on, Dan. Dan, have you gotten over your World Cup cruda yet, or you?
Yeah. It's lifting, dude.
Yeah. Did the Santos win help you get over it?
It just wore off.
Yeah,
it just wore off. Yeah, I skipped the first week.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, not through choice though. I had I guess, dad duties.
Oh, that's right.
So
I
was busy.
You are now officially a coach.
I'm not official. I still have to get my license. Can you believe that? It requires a license. But yeah, after I assuming I pass all my exams, yes, I'll be the coach for the U6 team.
So once you get your license, then you could also be in the running for the Mexico head coach position, Dan.
I'm sure I could do a decent job. I'd surround myself with the best advisors and auxiliares. So.
If you got your license, Dan, at the Instituto Cruyff, I bet you the percentage of the chances of you getting the gig probably go up about 20 to 30%. Seriously.
Well, I'm gonna see what I can do. I hope I don't disappoint.
So aside from you, Dan, do you see someone other than Osorio coaching the team coming up? You think it's done deal?
I don't want him back personally. I think, I mean, he got about as close as a full process as you can get. I mean, he pretty much had the full cycle. He, as you mentioned earlier, kind of betrayed his own ideals. So I don't see the point in reliving what he did. I don't. I mean, in theory, it could probably work, but like, I guess because he could continue, but I don't know. I guess I was disappointed with his World Cup. I was disappointed. With his whole body of work, it was just generally disappointing. So I'd rather them take a chance on somebody else.
I agree.
I know the pickings are slim though.
He didn't progress into the World Cup further than before. And my question would be, like, if he was to come back, what do you think he would have a plan taking on an 8-year proceso? Like, well, he's already done the 4, but do you think he said, okay, this 4 was a start to another 4?
And it's not even 4. It's more like, I mean, do you at least I would hope that they're choosing a manager now thinking for the next 8 years. That's what they should be planning for, not the next 4, the next 8. I mean, that's going to be their best shot.
Well, it's especially considering the fact that, as we've pointed out on this show before, that there's a lot of guys that are on the wrong side of 28 that were on this World Cup squad. A whole bunch of them, actually. So Mexico is going to be a team in transition over the next couple of years, where we'll probably see the Chicharito gang again at the Gold Cup next year. But that'll be, outside of that, that's going to be it. I mean, it's going to have to be a team that's half and half. And then moving forward, as Joel has pointed out many times, the Olympic team for 2020, if they through qualifying and hopefully the Olympics themselves, that's going to end up being the base of the probably the 20 I have to do math 2021 Gold Cup team, which will then be the base for the 2022 World Cup team. And so they have a couple of tournaments ahead of them to nail that down. Now, does that mean that Chicharito and company are not going to be part of that team? Not necessarily, but they're Chicharito would be a great guy to bring off the bench at 32. If he's still playing at a decent level, or maybe even start. Or I guess he'll be 34, not 32. But so they need to find a coach that has, or that has the ability to come up with a plan, as y'all have pointed out, to make sure that the team that plays, the majority of the team that plays the 22 World Cup is the one that's playing the 2026 World Cup. Is that really
I will say this, John. Depending on how this season goes for Santos, I'd maybe put Siboldi as a possible candidate, depending if they decide to wait and just hold off on the decision. I wouldn't mind maybe giving him depending on how the season goes, because if he's able to get them on another deep run, I think he should be definitely considered, just because of how many changes the team has gone through. He's gonna be tested, and they're gonna have multiple competitions also. So the fact that they started the season with a win, I thought was pretty good. I was expecting a loss.
Right. Well, it was also Lobos WAP, so let's
true.
Let's
and they did have to come back from behind.
But and also to their credit, I mean, it was also like 130 in Torreon when they were playing that game, because if it was hot in Texas, it's usually like 1,000 times hotter in Torreon when they're playing that game, and it was awfully hot on Sunday.
It's called home field advantage, John. It's not like they.
Well, you know what? And they're one of the best. You're right. Then they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in LigaMX. Outside of maybe Toluca, where 7 times out of 10 they're going to win the game because they're playing at home. So yeah, why teams don't take advantage of home field advantage more in LigaMX, frankly, is baffling. Look at Chivas. How many games did they win? They won with like one game out of 18 games or 60, whatever it is. The whole season they won 2 games. You can't do anything if you do that. But if you win, out of your 8-game season at home, if you win 6 of those, that's 18. How many points would you say it takes to make the Liguilla? 25?
Yeah, about 25 seems to be the magic number. And Puebla last season, just by winning their home games, they at one point they were at the top of the table. I
That's right.
and that's not a very strong team. I wouldn't
They have a
say
good
they're
coach.
one of
They
the
have a good coach.
stronger ones.
They have a good coach.
No, yeah, but if you go squad, player for player, they're not at the top. I wouldn't even put them top 8 as far as like, if you do a team ranking.
Well, sure. I mean, does Puebla ever make the top 8? Let's be honest.
It's probably been a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Although they did beat, if I'm not mistaken, when they won their championship in 83, I think it was. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think they beat Chivas in that final. I think that's right. I'll have to look that one up, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. I'm pretty sure
Kicking
that's correct.
Chivas some more, John.
So Dan, you think Siboldi is a good choice? I think Diego Alonso for Monterrey is going to be another option, especially if Monterrey struggles like they think they might.
Within LigaMX, yeah, him and I like Rafael Puente Jr. even though he's got a gig.
You are singing to the Joel Aceves choir.
Yes.
When you mentioned Rafa Puente Jr.
I don't think he, and also I guess, I mean, just seeing how this last World Cup went through. I mean, one, I just think a full proceso apparently isn't completely necessary to have to make a good run. That's one thing, and I guess you also, I don't think you need to have a super marquee, high name coach to do it too. You just have to have the right fit. A coach that's going to be able to get more out of another guy, out of the players than somebody else.
Dan, I want to add to what you're saying about the full proceso. I do think it's important, maybe not so much to have the same head coach, but if you look at like the Mexico team that Miguel Herrera took over when he went to 2014, those guys had been in a proceso, together. A lot of those guys have been together for a lot of years since youth and the senior team, and very similar with Croatia too. Then they had just replaced the coach, but a lot of those guys had been playing together for a long time.
Yeah, it's the same as Chile.
Yeah, they changed the coaches 3 times.
No, I'm talking about the players.
Yeah, they've been so I think the proceso. Yeah, I do think it's important to have a good core group that knows each other, they understand each other well. I think with the coach, if he's toxic, if he's not doing too good, then you can afford to boot him. And just to finalize, I think that's important stuff of having a good FA, that could maintain a lot of that stuff, that could keep that in order, so that when someone comes in, everything's already set up. You're not starting from scratch.
Why is Chivas throwing shade on Almeida's possible?
Because Almeida threw shade on them. he leaked that document, and I said it when it happened.
Wasn't he trying to get fired?
It's a big mess on both sides.
Well, but that's the thing, though, is that, I mean, if he knew he was gone and they knew he was gone, but they're like, dude, the only way you're going to be going is if you quit, because they don't want to, pay the buyout, obviously.
Yeah,
so that's trying to force their hand on firing him. But then they poisoned as well.
I know, but if they had already sent him like negotiating terms, then you don't have to leak that. Like if they had already sent him a paper with some deals. They were already dealing. They were already gonna, and I think he's getting a year's worth of wages. Must be pretty neat.
Exactly. That's what I'm
$2 million.
He was, he wanted to get that buyout. I mean, that's why he wanted to be fired. And
but
leaking the document is just, and knowing how the.
I'm not agreeing with his methods. I'm explaining the ends, not the means.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what to me hurt him, and I do think that's the other presidents. They're not gonna see that too kindly, man. And then I think because Almeida's like very likable type of dude, but his agent is, he's all over the place. So even that could hurt him. You don't want Almeida, the team's at a Gold Cup or maybe not doing too good, and his agent's already starting news everywhere that so and so team wants to hire him. That's that's not gonna fly with FMF, man. They'll boot him up right away.
I think that, but then I realized that that FMF is also has a there's a media company that has a vested interest, and I almost feel like the novela is there just because they know that they can get just that they benefit so much from it. So.
Oh, and I think you missed it from the last week, but there was some news going on that John De Luisa is, if I'm not mistaken, John De Luisa is Higuera's cousin, ¿cómo se dice? Primo hermano, how would you say that?
Cousin-in-law?
Yeah, really in-law?
Well, basically,
Primo hermano is just, I think, first cousin, isn't it?
First cousin, yeah, there.
No, that's a primo. Primo hermano is probably like a second cousin or a.
Oh.
I think that your cousins by marriage.
Well,
that's always confused the hell out of me.
There's a primo,
if there was only a way we could figure that out.
That doesn't look too good. I mean, you had Mati
family
saying,
on some level. Family on some level.
Family on some level. And Mati did say, I'm staying in Guadalajara, man. But he's been in Argentina the past month. So he's been lobbying to get that job, which is not looking too good for him, man. The news is pointing at a return for Sabella. So, yeah, I feel pretty bad for Mati. He might end up not coaching for the next 6 months.
Well, he has conducted himself a bit unethically at times. So, I mean, I can't feel too bad for the guy, but at least from the standpoint of the national team, out of the available options, I mean, he should be considered one of them. It's unfortunate that personal beefs are getting in and are even are being factored, I guess. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, before I forget,
hang on a second.
Oh,
so hang on. People are chapped that these guys are cousins when you have two brothers working on stuff. That's okay.
I believe that's directed at Joel, correct?
I'm done. I'm not necessarily directed at Joel. It's just.
It's Higuera's cancer. You don't want that guy anywhere near, or his relatives anywhere near.
Well, just because they're cousins doesn't mean they get along.
I don't like Higuera, but I wouldn't say that he's super bad. I just think he's clumsy, but I wouldn't say that he's. Chiva fans are fickle, man. They were calling him Tio Higuera when he was bringing in all the top talent.
And now?
Now they have to sell because, you're looking at a team that was going broke over a bunch of bad decisions, and they weren't all his, I think the whole Chivas TV thing was from Amaury. I think he was the guy that said, let's go to streaming. And
was it Rafa Puente Jr. part of the front office during that time period too?
He was briefly, but he had
Did Rafa Puente Jr. Joel make the decision to go Chivas TV? Was that a Rafa?
No, I think it's Amaury.
Are you sure?
I didn't realize Joel was such a big fan.
Of who?
Of Rafa Puente Jr. You're a.
Oh, I am.
It is his new man crush.
No, but I'm also on the Siboldi train, man. I would put right now Siboldi over Puente as far as tactical stuff, man. Siboldi's really impressive what he did, and he outcoached all of those dudes, man. Which was, a lot of coaches that had been there for a while. They've been around, they've been in quite a few fights, and He took them all, and so I'm also on
They
the
got
Siboldi
beat by a
train.
youth coach.
He was a youth coach, man.
Yeah.
But he knows his stuff, though. I mean, he had been preparing himself for years. He just who was it? Cruz Azul. Just they wouldn't give him a chance.
He
But
he carries himself like a G, man. I'm
yeah,
very he's impressive. Just the way he carries himself, the way he talks. Obviously, like you mentioned.
And he had a
his
pretty
game
lengthy
planning.
career as a player in LigaMX too, didn't he? So I mean, it's a guy who
yeah,
knows the
yeah,
league pretty well, knows the principles.
Yeah, I like him, but I feel that we need more Mexican representation. So that's why I've always been like, cheering for like Puente Jr., even Leaño now, hoping that they end up doing really good. Just because there's so few Mexican coaches, man, it's ridiculous how little there are. I think it's been almost 10 years since a Mexican coach has won the league. A Mexican national has won the league title.
No, because Piojo won it more than a handful of times.
No, but when's the last time that he won it? I mean, I think the last.
Not 10 years, maybe 10
No,
seasons, but not 10 years.
Yeah, I'm thinking seasons.
No, it's
split.
been. Well, I mean, again, Tuca's
but
won 4 of them, but I mean, do you consider Tuca a Brazilian coach? I mean, let's be honest. Tuca is
I
a
wouldn't.
Mexican coach.
I know, but still, like as far as like Mexican nationals, there's almost none. I mean, as opposed to before, where you had, just a big group competing against each other and doing good. Now it's like none. And I'll say it again. If you look at Mexico national team, all their greatest achievements have come through a Mexican coach.
They have
medals. Under 17, confederations, two Copa America finals. So I mean,
but right now there just isn't that guy though. There's not. I
yeah.
mean, the only guy is Piojo, and as far as we know, he's tainted. So he can't. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm saying he's got a big black mark against him, and that means that he can't do it.
I think he did manage to silence La Pioja though, so I haven't heard from her in Lady Pioja in a long time.
Yeah, but I mean that whole thing was just was just a big mess. With how that was handled, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Yeah, but seriously, he's outside of him. There is they could go with with one of the Tena brothers, Capitan Furia or Flaco. Honestly, if Ojitos Mesa had any kind of success over the past 4 or 5 years, I would absolutely, I might even consider him now Ojitos. I mean, especially if you want to do an 8-year plan. See, now I got y'all thinking about it. By the way, there is one hell of a game going on right now at the Estadio Jalisco between Atlas and Zacatepec. We need to get Michel Richaud on the show to tell us about how romantic it is to be down at Zacatepec, and then somehow figure out a way for the club to pony up for us to go down and then spend a weekend down at Tequesquitengo. That should be our goal for the Apertura is to get a trip to Tequesquitengo, I think.
Line up the private jet.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. No, but it's Zacatepec and Atlas and Copa MX, and Zacatepec just went up in the 88th minute. But the goal that Atlas scored, it was a 40-yard dribble by a guy who had number 303 on the back of his jersey. So obviously like a 16, 17-year-old scored that goal. So it was just really, really thrilling stuff. I really enjoy watching Copa MX games because occasionally you run into a really, really, really just a back and forth game. So it is a fun tournament to watch. They need to figure out a way to make it a little better, make it a little more give fans more of a reason to watch.
Hey, in other news, I guess the Mexico under-21 with Linus failed in group stages in the Juegos Centroamericanos. Eliminated
for them to even send those guys is. I mean, I personally believe for a tournament like that, you send and no disrespect to the players that went, but you send like as many fringe players. I mean, the season is starting for some of these guys. I mean, do these guys really want to risk? For the Juegos Centroamericanos? I mean, do the teams want the players to be risking themselves for that? No. I mean, just terrible timing for that tournament. And again, I'm not excusing the way that Mexico played. I mean, you can't, regardless of who you are, how you're playing, you can't play like that. But you also, I mean, do you really want to send Diego Lainez to the Juegos Centroamericanos? Seriously? Joel, would you send Lainez to the Juegos Centroamericanos?
I would not, sir. No, I would not. I would hope he gets playing time because he's at that level to be getting playing time.
Yeah, he needs to be with America, at least coming off the bench, at the very least.
So either they didn't play. I mean, like you said, they're saving themselves. They didn't take this tournament seriously, or we have a potential
a major problem.
Potential problem with talent in the future.
No, I don't think it was that. And also, I think who was it? Chima Ruiz. I don't think he even prepared that squad for the tournament. It's like John said, the timing was just wrong, and I don't think FMF really cared to go to those games. They probably don't even have the TV rights.
A couple of years ago, I got to work the Dallas Cup, which is a youth tournament, and Dallas is played all over the Metroplex, and they play the different brackets or the different age groups finals all on one, in 2 days at the stadium in Frisco, Toyota Stadium. And one of the teams that had made the final was a Liverpool squad, but it was the Liverpool college squad. So it's basically a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds that weren't necessarily good enough to play in the Liverpool system, but they were definitely good enough to get a scholarship to play somewhere. And whether that was in Canada, wherever it was, where they play college soccer. And it made me wonder, why wouldn't LigaMX teams have that as well? And then, for a tournament like the Juegos Centroamericanos, those are the guys you said. But to me, I mean, if you can get a kid to go to college and maybe at the off chance they end up doing really well in college and then they blossom and they get quote unquote drafted by the MLS or something, it could certainly work out. Just another avenue to get players playing. Another avenue to get players playing.
Yeah, I guess these guys just play. These guys just played in Toulon, which they did pretty good.
Yeah, but that was even before the World Cup. I mean, that was at the end of the season. It was the stakes are totally different at a tournament.
Oh yeah, I'm saying they did pretty good in that tournament. So this might have been one too many.
I don't have more. I mean, there's the other one. What is it? The Latin American one.
the Pan American Games.
Pan American.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, this one was no big deal, for us.
I mean, I remember one time Luis Landin played in this, like in 2000, whatever the hell it was, and they ended up not doing very well in that tournament either, and no fue mayores, as they say. It's no big deal. Not anything to clutch your pearls about.
You should know the Pan American though. Joel, isn't that where your boy dominated? Your Güero.
Which boy?
Fierro.
Did you know that? You know, you want to know a Toulon tournament fun fact? El Venado Medina, aka Magic Medina, he won the best player of the Toulon tournament. You know who he beat? Who he beat for?
Wayne
To
Rooney.
get that golden ball?
A World Cup winner.
CR7, man. None other than CR7.
Okay.
At one point in time, dude, in in our lifetime, Bernardo Medina was actually better than Cristiano, dude. That what could have been?
That is amazing. That is a much better fun fact than my fun fact I had earlier of Memo Cantu scoring in the Gold Cup final in 1993.
No, I stole that from you, John.
The 4-0 win where the ball like ricocheted off of him essentially into the goal, and that was his claim, his claim to fame.
Oh man, yeah. Fun. It's Fun Fact Wednesdays.
That's right.
The Cantina.
And this LigaMX or CopaMX game, the referee got an assist on that game. He did a moving screen.
He did. I saw that.
Allowed the goal to get scored.
Everyone gets an assist.
That's right. No, it was a very entertaining match. Joel, Cruz Azul.
The Blue Cross.
La Máquina. The everyone's sweet on Cruz Azul this season is moving back to the Azteca. Joel, is that going to help Cruz Azul shake off whatever has been afflicting them over the past 20 years?
I think it helps, but I mean, I think bringing in a proven winner like Pelaez, and then just getting them in order, I think that's the biggest thing. Pelaez is like, Cruz Azul is like that 70s show, and there was all these guys, just hanging in the basement, smoking and getting drunk, and Pelaez is like Red Foreman, and he catches them, he's like, what the hell is going down there, and he just gets everyone to like.
Do you think that Pelaez has a good kick your ass kind of catchphrase to keep guys in?
No, I mean, he cleaned house, and that's one of the first things he did. He found out there was a story that made the rounds about some of the players that were like had given up, they were slacking it, and he found out who it were, and Cruz Azul still had a chance to qualify. They had a fighting chance. It was minimum, but it was there, and some of these dudes were already acting like the season was over. They were already making their vacation plans, and Pelaez found out, and as soon as he went in, they were the first ones gone. Swift kick to the ass, and it's like he's only going to have players that are going to fight every minute. So I do think he's a good person to have there.
No, it's definitely. Go ahead.
He was on Picante. I was a fan ever since he was on Picante.
you like what he told Faitelson?
Yeah, exactly.
What did he tell him? What he said? "Es un estúpido." Is that what it was?
Yeah.
But he is, man. I'm comparing to Rick Foreman, but he is like that, man. He'll get pissed off and he'll just call you out on your shit. He's like Tuca, and he at one point he almost got in fights with even like Piojo when they were. I don't know if you guys remember that there's like an old clip when they're gonna fight. It's like in an Atlas game. I think Atlas. I don't know if it was Atlas Necaxa or Atlas America. I mean Atlas Atlante.
Oh, Piojo and Pelaez?
Yeah, yes. It's a pretty good clip.
That's funny. Well, I mean, as a player, I don't really remember him all that much in America, but with Necaxa, he was part of that juggernaut. He like like Jared Borghetti, was at the at the great end of some outstanding crosses from Pony Ruiz and for Velázquez case Alex Aguinaga, who would could put him up on a platter for him. They were just an outstanding team. They were a lot of fun to watch. Necaxa. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Joel, I think that one of their championships in '95 it was. I want to say, did they beat Cruz Azul and Guadalajara to win their titles?
Oh man, I don't remember.
I think one of them was Guadalajara for sure. I don't remember if it was Cruz Azul or not, but I do remember it was Guadalajara.
Man, first Puebla now, not this other team. What's going on, John? That's twisting the shiv there, man.
Well, I know we have a lot of Chivas fans that listen, so it's always just a reminder, that because you don't win as often doesn't mean that they're not competing. They've made, they made a final in 2004 against Pumas.
They did
that they lost in penalty kicks on the last kick. If I'm not, it was the last kick, the very last kick.
Which it shouldn't have gone to penalties because the ref awarded Chivas with a phantom PK.
Whatever you need to say to yourself, Joel.
No, it was Chivas got awarded with a phantom PK. It was a fall outside of the box, and the ref called it in, and Chivas tied the series with that penalty.
Well,
so I was saying it shouldn't have gone to penalties. I would have felt a little bit bad if would have won a game like that.
If that's
regalo del ref.
To soften the blow of the loss, I suppose. I suppose I understand. So Dan, if Siboldi goes and coaches the national team, you will be okay with that? You'll be absolutely 100% okay with that?
Yeah. I mean, who else is going to coach it?
Well,
I mean, with any kind of with better credentials. I mean, no one currently coaches is going to have that many more titles. And what's important is that he's young. He's not like living off past glory. And I'm more in favor of going younger than older. That's another thing too. The game evolves; it's constantly evolving, and the new guys seem to be the ones that are making things happen, not the older guys.
Now, was he coaching the Santos youth team?
Yes, he was. While El Profe Chepo was stinking out the joint.
Oof.
Oof, indeed.
And he was serving him Chepo nothing but excellent prospects, was he not? Just like one after the other.
A few, yeah. He saw firsthand a lot of those guys who eventually made the leap.
He's twisting the shiv on
Joel. I know again. It's now he's just throwing salt.
No.
I have
lemons.
I only go where the podcast takes us. I'm sure that there will be some reciprocation inflicted probably before
really,
the night is out.
I think we'll have a much better understanding of the type of coach he is after this season, though. I don't think it was luck. I thought, I'll even say, I think Caixinha's title, I thought that was more luck. This guy seems legit, man. I don't know. Something about him that I really like.
Well, he's tall. He's 6'4", and everyone likes a tall coach.
It's true.
Yeah, he does have that Clark Kent feel to him.
Yeah. Let's see. So he his previous iterations, he coached. He's been with Cruz. He was with Cruz Azul forever. He was Cruz Azul Jaso, Cruz Azul Hidalgo. Then he was a coach at Dorados, and he's with Santos after that. And Santos is the reality is that their youth products over the past 3 or 4 years have been pretty solid, and if that's thanks to Siboldi,
they're filling the league, man. There's a few. There's Santos. There's quite a few of them out there.
Yeah. So I mean, that only speaks to his eye for talent, and not only that, but to be able to develop it enough to where because not everybody makes it, and then to have a youth program produce that many players in such a short period of time, it certainly speaks to his abilities. And for an 8-year plan, he would absolutely be the choice. And the reality is that I don't think that Mexico, as y'all pointed out, I mean, there really is no immediate hurry to make this decision. I mean, I remember Chepo didn't debut until 2011, like the first Molero. It was the first Molero of the season. In the January one or February, where and do y'all remember? Oh, another fun fact on Fun Fact Wednesday. Let's see if y'all remember who scored the first goal of the Chepo de la Torre era.
Oh, goddamn. I don't.
I'll guess and say Cacho.
Nope. Chiquis?
What was the question again?
Who scored the first goal of the Chepo de la Torre era?
It wasn't the Güero, el Güero Vato ese.
Nope.
I don't think it.
It was not. Joel, do you?
I was not even paying attention to that game, John. And it's funny because I have another fun fact, but I'll wait until this one's answered.
All right. The fun. It was Edgar Pacheco.
Oh man, yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that one.
Unfulfilled promesa.
Well, I remember who scored the first goal for Bora Milutinovic's second run with the national team, which was in '95, and his first Molero, it was against Saudi Arabia, and I was at that match. It was at the Coliseum, the Los Angeles Coliseum, aka Azteca del Norte.
1995.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to say it was.
Some of our listeners weren't even born.
That's right. I'm going to say
they were kids.
It was. I'm going to say it was Nacho Ambriz.
No, sir. No, it wasn't. I'm gonna give a clue. He's a coach now. Not only is he a coach, you should have some pretty fun memories of him, John.
Paco Palencia.
No, not Paco, man. Paco in '95 wasn't.
He was playing.
No, he was pretty young still. He was like in the youth teams. He went to Atlanta.
Is he presently a coach in LigaMX? Is he a head coach in LigaMX?
Not in first division.
I
think he's in second. He's in second.
Man, wow.
I'll say it. Travieso Guzman.
Really?
Yeah,
Damn it, I was trying to unmute. I was trying to unmute. God damn it.
You were close?
No, I had it, man. I was about to spit it out. I was going to say...
my bad. My bad.
No. That was my fault. I should have been quicker with the trigger, but...
Yeah, he and that's the reason I said, John, you should have fun memories, because he was coaching Chivas when Hugo gave him a beatdown, man. Gave that 7-0. Kind of abuse at that point. Could start the Me Too movement right there.
I can't talk any kind of other than of course winning a championship, because Pumas hasn't won a game in Guadalajara since the early '80s.
I know, but to beat a team, one of the grandes, and to beat them like that, like completely humiliate them, it's you don't forget that easily.
No, that's I wish I would have had that memory. I don't recall that game, but it sounds.
You recall the 7-0?
It sounds amazing.
No, you just.
I'm gonna have to look it up on the YouTube and watch it tonight.
You're gonna have to, man.
I might have to lock the door.
Like the hunting memory is Pumas is already up like 4-0, and I'm thinking, okay, they're probably just gonna pack it in, but every time they would go to the sidelines, Hugo would just be telling his players to keep going forward. He was just pushing them I'm like, we're like, stop kicking them. They're already dead. But this guy was like, attack. I was like, I could hear that sound, dude. Remember from Bane when Batman is like trying to get out of that hole and
Right.
they're chanting this like Matalo or something. It's haunting.
That's yeah. Like I said, I will definitely have to watch that. That'll be a lot of fun. But anyway, so back to that. So because the fact they don't have to make that hurried decision, then Siboldi would absolutely be a candidate, and I think Diego Alonso is too. I think those two, if they're going to go a LigaMX coach, would probably be the top two candidates to be the as far as current coaches. Joel has been dropping a lot of hints that it could be Tuca, but I just as much as I would love it as the Tuca fan that I am, I just don't see him deciding yes, unless of course if they bow to his crazy terms, which they just might do. Who knows? They just might do.
And the only thing I see against, like, well, one of the many against Marks, because there's quite a few.
Against Tuca? How dare you, sir?
Well, yeah, well, not like negative, but one is like, Tuca's never really been high up on coaching the national team. You know, he compared it to being a street sweeper once. And, he
coined the term Partido Molero, which we now has now become. I'm surprised it isn't in the Webster dictionary.
Or the Real Academia Española. But yeah, there's stuff like that. He doesn't like doing the commercials, the interviews. He doesn't like a lot of that stuff. And the other thing is he wants to retire soon. So, I mean, would he want to do 8 years? And I know, like Dan mentioned, that's one of the things FMF wants is they're looking for someone for the long term, for the long haul.
Yeah. And Tuca's definitely not
the way.
Unless if they want to go the Washington Tavares way, but the Washington Tavares way only works if you have the same group of players.
Yeah.
For that period of time, and I mean, believe me, I would love for Mexico to have a Washington Tavares type coach. Someone who's just consistently there that is going to get the best out of the players, love and respect and admire, and we'll do whatever, just go to death for the guy, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I could see is if they had Tuca and they allow like one of the younger coaches to be in his coaching staff, preferably even take over like one of the youth teams and then just work alongside of Tuca in the first proceso and then take over the reins for the following proceso.
Joel, are you proposing if Yon de Luisa is listening to this podcast right now, Memo Cantu, which we would only we can only assume that they are, right? Are you proposing, Joel, a Tuca Ferretti coach, Rafa Puente Jr. assistant, Miguel Mejia Baron bench coach?
Oh, that would be nice. Yes, I would like that.
Dan,
but you would.
Dan is a Tuca detractor. I'm sad to say. Okay. Dan, would you be down with that?
No.
No. He doesn't want Tuca.
I'm not on board with that.
You are not.
I don't want Tuca anywhere near the national team.
No, ninguna discutir con usted.
I mean, really?
Yeah, no, I don't want him. I mean, I understand that not everybody's dream job is the Mexican national team, but as mentioned before, the guy doesn't value the gig at all. I think he spoke nicely of it while he was in there in the interim, and he said nice things. But no, I don't think he values the position. I think he thinks it's a big ass headache, and if that's really what he thinks, then maybe he's not the right guy.
I actually like what you guys are saying about Tuca not liking to do commercials, and I would actually be in agreement with any coach refusing to do the dumb commercials or to do certain press conferences or interviews and stuff like that. Yeah, because it's a waste. I mean, the whole Molero thing. But yeah, I agree with Dan that aside from that, I don't.
You know,
think
there was
Tuca
a big clue, I thought, in the in what Yon de Luisa was saying about expanding the great relationship we have with the U.S. Soccer Federation and the Canada Soccer Federation. I have a very distinct feeling that we're going to see some Moleros in the Great White North in this next, at least coming up to 2026.
Mm.
Well, I thought that was more along the lines of like MLS, and there was talk in the past of having like a cup tournament, you know, or like having MLS teams in Copa MX, or just like another Interliga 2.0 type tournament.
No, but he mentioned the federations. I mean, that he has really nothing. That's a LigaMX decision.
Well, John, I have a question because I heard they were going to get rid of the Confederations Cup. I mean, what?
I mean, there's no way they can play it now in the summer in Qatar. They just can't unless other stadiums are indoor.
I know, but someone else could host it. You know, maybe like, you know, some other country. Because before, it used to be they would just be held in Saudi Arabia, and then, but regardless, I mean, are they still gonna do it? Is that tournament, especially going into like you know, but you're gonna have 3 hosts for 2026? Like, does the U.S. get to buy because they're the main host, and then Mex and Canada have to like duke it out in the CONCACAF?
Well, I'll tell you what they would do if it was. They would probably expand it to 12 teams. Is what they would end up doing.
That would be pretty smart.
Yeah, but I haven't heard. I know that has been bantied about before. Frankly, I would be totally okay with that decision if the Confed Cup goes away. But I mean, again, if there's unless they play an indoor stadium, there's no way they can play it in Qatar on in June, July, which is
well, the World Cup did get moved.
They cannot push the Confed Cup to be a winter, not for 8 teams. There's just no way they can. I mean, you can't do that to a club at that time. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, like I said, they could certainly play it in another country, which would probably be what ends up if the tournament is played, was probably what ends up happening. But this is a great reason for them not to play it, and to just go ahead and put the kibosh on it, and that'll be that. The King's Cup, as it used to be called.
Copa del Rey Fat.
That's right.
Boy, you really make the Gold Cup even that much less just that much more worthless. You get rid of the Confederations Cup.
I'm okay with playing the Gold Cup because I think you should have a regional tournament. But I mean, to me, the Confed Cup is not. But to me, it's just. I mean, it is the Molero tournament of the World Cup. It's a nothing tournament. To me, it's just.
But it offered Mexico the chance to play some really good teams in the games that matter.
But there's no guarantee that Mexico is going to play in the Confederations Cup.
That's like Mexico's senior team biggest trophy, man. Do you want that tournament to disappear?
I don't want that to disappear. But
there's no guarantee, but there's a near guarantee. I mean, at worst, I think you have a coin flip's chance of playing there, playing in it every 4 years.
You guys are absolutely right, and I appreciate all. To me, it's just a tournament when, I think of a player like Chicharito who hasn't had a break. He hasn't had a summer off since what 2012. And it shows. I mean, he's basically played another season's worth of games, playing in all these summer tournaments, and I think that's ultimately ends up wearing on these guys.
Hey, really quick on Chicharo before I forget. Now that you mentioned him, Pellegrini recently said this is coming from the West Ham official page, and Pellegrini saying how he spoke to Chicharo before the World Cup, and he pretty much was asking him to stay with the Hammers, that he was going to play an important role. So that's pretty good news.
That is half, as we know, Joel, it's half the battle.
Well, yeah, but if the coach is telling you that, I think that's really good,
Yeah, well, I mean, if the coach, likes you, wants to keep you around, you're going to play. If he doesn't favor you, you're on the bench. And David Moyes, for whatever reason, just didn't favor Chicharito, just didn't at all.
For the second time.
Yeah, and not only the second time, but the second time in the season before the World Cup.
Man, talk about irony.
Yeah, that's another fun fact for here on Fun Fact Wednesday.
fun Fact Wednesday.
As it were. As it were.
And we should put like a booklet of that. Football fun facts, man.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. We should
at least for LigaMX, Mexican soccer related.
We should work on that. Okay, so I'll let y'all be. By the way, I find it very interesting, Joel, that you call me Yon, but you call Yon de Luisa, whose name is spelled Yon. You call him John de Luisa.
And it's subconscious, man. I didn't even plan on it.
It cracks me up.
If you don't tell me, I wouldn't. See, now you put it in my mind. If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have noticed.
Well, I'm sure that once that you'll forget about it, and you'll go right back to your
to
the routine.
No, he just pronounces the Y a little stronger.
Yeah. All right, so you guys are Yon de Luisa, and you're going to make the decision. So Dan, you're the head guy. What are you going to do? Who is your coach at the end of the year?
The national team coach at the end of this year, man. I'll say Siboldi. Why not? Who else is going to do it? After he takes them to a semifinal. I don't think they'll do it again, but I think hopefully he'll take them into another deep run.
Well, the coach is probably going to be hired if there. I would assume after the two games in September. So I think you're looking at like in October. I mean, Hugo didn't get hired until like November. And I think the same thing with Chepo. It's going to be if there is a new coach, I think it'll be done then. And Dan says Siboldi. Dan goes with Siboldi. Roberto Siboldi, Argentine, played in LigaMX for about 8 years.
I thought he was Uruguayo.
I'm sorry. You know what? You're right. He is Uruguayan.
Yeah.
I am.
All right.
I am mistaken because he did his start for with.
Was he? And if I'm correct, he would wear the number 5, wouldn't he? Even though he was the goalkeeper.
That I don't remember. But I do remember him at Tigres, but I don't remember what number he wore. That I don't. So Dan says Siboldi. Chiquis.
Oh, jeez. I'm gonna say Almeida. I have my doubts, but I'm just gonna say it. I was gonna say Tuca, but I think there's too much for him not to do it, and he doesn't want to do it. So I think Almeida. If he doesn't get any offers, like good offers elsewhere, I think he might just settle.
Or Mexico may settle on him.
Yeah.
Yes, that's more likely the scenario.
But when I say Almeida, though, I think we might return to the coaching. What do you call it? The coaching Ferris wheel.
The centrifuge.
The firing of a coach.
All right, so
We'll
Chiqui says Almeida. Joel, you're
going.
Yon de Luisa.
I'm going with the Toucan. I think that I want that experience. I want a dude that's a ball breaker. I think there's one thing going into this next cycle. It's always difficult when you have when you're like in transition when you're weeding out some of the older players, because a lot of times they have a lot of influence and then a lot of times they don't go down, they don't want to go down that easy. I don't know if you guys remember when after the World Cup when Piojo said that he was kicking out Salcedo and I forget the other guy, and it became a big deal because they're like, hey, we never said we were retiring. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, it was Salcedo and I can't remember who the other guy was.
Yeah, I mean, but and one of the big rumors, but one of the big rumors after the World Cup was that the team was divided into two camps. That you had Team Chicha and was it Team Rafa Marquez, but that it was like split down the middle, and you don't want stuff like that when you're starting a new proceso and you're gonna have to be weeding out players because it can have negative, consequences. So you do need like someone that's ball busting and not scared to make some of these moves. And I think that's where an experienced coach, can be a big.
So you want Tuca as your coach, but you want Rafa Puente to be it so that he takes over for 2026.
Yeah, or even Siboldi, someone.
So this is like
young
a
and
complete
talented,
180 from what you said 2 weeks ago when you said
2 weeks ago
Rafa Puente.
Oh,
hasta la muerte. You were
what?
That was the hill you were preparing to die on. You were going full in. You're pushing all the chips into Rafa Puente.
And an 8-year thing, I would, because same with even someone like Siboldi and probably Leaño, where, if our goal, FMF's goal is 2026, then yeah, you could groom your own coach. You could do that. But now that I've been thinking about it, thinking about some of the stuff that's gonna happen. With you got like the party crew, you got some of these dudes. They're not gonna go away,
Joel, did you give yourself your own reality? Did you give yourself your own reality check?
Welcome, Fantasy
I did. I might.
It's reality check time with Joel.
Yeah.
No, Joel, you're about to get a dose of reality.
It's been a while since I played that.
It's been a while. No, but that I hadn't thought about that, but then it just came to me. It's like, yeah, you got all these dudes still that have their influence and they don't go down easy, because that's were you telling me when we were talking about this, was this on air or off air, about how Gio just playing 20 minutes at the World Cup, landed him, what was it?
Three sponsors. He has 3 sponsors, right? He has Denny's, he has Pepsi, which he's had since 2006 at least.
Yeah.
And then I saw him. I was at a gas station in Hewitt, Texas, which is just outside of Waco, where he was in a full cutout, and he was peddling Frito-Lay, either Lay's chips or Doritos or something. So yeah, he has done all right for himself. Our Giovanni.
Yeah, man. Some of these dudes are dependent on that stuff. It ups their wages and everything just to be in the national team. So yeah, I don't see a lot of these players might not want to just leave. Some of the players like like Guardado and Gio and a lot of these older dudes. I'm not saying they have to, but if the coach probably for whatever reason just preferred other players, because you do have other players that are coming up, like, or that could easily challenge, like a Pizarro, even Fabian. So I thought some of these guys didn't get a fair shot just because the other guys had more pull.
More pull with the coach or more pull with the
Yeah,
federation?
yeah, both. I mean, both. I mean, if you have someone like Marquez, even Chicharo's like the big name, man. If you got someone like Chicharo, like lobbying for you, I think that you're more likely to land a spot in the team going to a tournament.
Yeah, that is. I mean, and like I said, I mean, it's going to be a very delicate situation that they're going to have to manage. And you're right, though. I mean, not everyone's going to be sent to pasture. There'll be a few of the 30-somethings that end up making the World Cup team in 2022.
Yeah.
Now,
Wait, just real quick, and sometimes we don't think it happens, but I think it still happens a lot where the players will just make it so that certain players won't get as much playing time or just won't get lined up. I think with Argentina, I think it was Dybala, the one that ended up getting benched. I think some of the guys just didn't like him.
Yeah, that whole, that is just a huge mess.
And just to close it off on that, we had some of these already negative comments, some of these comments that came out right after the World Cup where like Aquino, he had complained because he got I don't think he got any playing time or just very little. And then even Carlos, Titan Salcedo saying that, I don't know if I'm a return, because he obviously wasn't happy with some of the
after the World Cup. I mean, Aquino was not going to get playing time, unless if it was an emergency. I mean, let's be honest. He was not, he was not ahead of either Corona or Lozano. He was a third string guy at the position. And Salcedo, he's already walked that one back, and he was mad. So I don't. I mean, Messi after the Copa America said that he was retiring from the national team. So it, guys say stuff at the heat of the moment. They'll let the moment kind of get carried away, and then they'll walk it back. I didn't mean it. That was not me.
Once they get the call from the sponsorship saying, "What do you mean you're going to quit the national team?"
That's right. That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Hey, on Picante, Rafa Puente says that the under 21 failure was worse than the 7-0.
Oh, stop it! Just stop it.
Oh man.
So he's obviously lobbying for his kid too at this point. That's what it sounds like to me. All right, so if I were Yonda Luisa, I would probably, like I said, I would take Diego Alonso. I think would be my choice, just because he's done everything that Siboldi has, just for a longer period of time, and it's.
Is he tall though, John? Is he tall?
Oh, he's tall. He was central.
Does he wear tight, really tight suits?
And they're not as tight as Caixinha. But he gets bonus points because he played at Pumas when he played in Mexico. So that I'm not saying that's something to that. I'm not saying that's a.
He knows the Goya chant by heart.
That he does. That's a that's a requirement. But it certainly is. It certainly is a tiebreaker as far as I'm concerned. No, it's I just think that over the past, if you're going to go for a guy who has who has proven that he can build a proyecto over a period of over an extended period of time. As Dan has pointed out, if Siboldi, makes X, then yeah, we should go with this. But Alonso has already done that. He's already proven himself with what he's been able to accomplish. By mixing veterans with youth too, which is obviously something that's going to have to happen in this next cycle. So that's why I think Alonso is going to be should be considered a very serious candidate for the position. But I'll be honest with you guys. I have a feeling. I know that Joel said earlier that Osorio is not as out of the mix as we think, because again, I think that when they throw out the feelers, I don't think that they're getting the responses they're getting, and so either go with the guy who's young and hungry, or you dance with who brung you so far. So I don't necessarily think that he's out, because I think that if he was, I think they would have made the announcement, very soon after the World Cup. So I think that there's still conversations that are being had about that.
Because really, there's nowhere he can go. This didn't actually exactly springboard him anywhere. I know the U.S. is sort of talking about him a little bit, but I don't know if that's really serious or not.
As Joel pointed out, the Colombian fans don't necessarily want him, but it doesn't mean that the federation doesn't want him. So that is certainly a possibility, especially if Peckerman goes back to Argentina, which again is a possibility. So there's, I think that they're both, that Osorio is Mexico's safety school, and I think that Mexico is Osorio's safety school. They're each other's safety school for the next few months. They've basically broken. They haven't broken up, but they've agreed to see other people, and then in 3 months they'll reevaluate.
Well, the contract did end. They said that the contract ended after the World Cup.
Yeah, but again, why waste your time if you're not going to sign the guy by not just announcing, hey, the contract's, so we're not going to renew it. We thank him for his service. We're moving on. Yeah, y punto. But the fact that it's been what is it, 3 weeks now that they haven't said anything.
That's true, but
seasons.
Televisa just started officially like today.
Right.
Yeah. So he got married and he was honeymoon and all that.
So you don't think the hammer's coming down until he sits down at his desk tomorrow and go, bring me the head of Juan Carlos Osorio.
Yeah, I think no, that is kind of weird why they wouldn't just say, okay, he's out. But maybe part of it is they just don't want the press, like the press to be like bugging about they need a new coach, or just making a big deal, causing a.
There were so many reports over this past weekend that Osorio was going to make an announcement over the weekend that it was over and done, and that never happened. So
the press is going to go crazy if he does get rehired. A lot of people are going to be upset.
So yeah, that they will. They will be very upset. Which makes me almost want it to happen, just because of that.
I would feel myself personally disappointed. I would think it's a huge bummer. But
I personally would not be happy with the movie either. I think that again, he did a lot of great things, and Mexico can learn from that. But when they needed him the most, he didn't deliver. And not only did he not deliver, but failed miserably. Just thoroughly outcoached in every sense of the word. Just never put Mexico in a position to do well in those games at all. Just totally misread every single one of those games. It was so that to me is just a huge red flag, hey, thanks for setting the cones, and thanks for figuring out that it's good to not have to fly to Mexico City before we fly to Columbus. They can just fly to Columbus direct. Hey, thanks for that, but we're moving on. So, but I do agree with you all. I think that the three candidates are going to be Almeida, Alonso, and Siboldi. I think those are going to be the three candidates that because I don't think they're going to be able to get Sampaoli or Beckerman or anybody like that. It's going to be somebody local, and they're going to have to go with the ones that, if as y'all have pointed out and correctly, as far as I'm concerned, that this coach, it needs to be someone that they need to hire, not just for this cycle, but for the next one too. And there's a lot of guys that tick that box right now.
Yeah, and going before the World Cup, the candidates were Piojo and Mohamed Turco. So it's interesting that those guys are no longer, they no longer seem like candidates. I do think Almeida has dropped a bit. I don't think he's as high as he was like when he was at Chivas.
Sure, but he has one plus right now. He's available.
He
has
is,
one plus. The other guys are going to cost money to get out. So there's this it is a business after all. But I do believe though that they're going to make some. They're going to extend some.
But I mean, they could, like Alonso or some of these guys, they could wait till after the end of the season.
Well, yeah, there's no rush. There's absolutely no rush. Like I said, I mean, their first true test is going to be the January Molero. That's going to be their first match.
Yeah, but I mean, because there's some friendlies when is it in September?
Right, which they're not going to be available. Yes, so there's no hurry. But I do think that those are, and Piojo, I guess, could be a candidate too. I just don't see it happening.
No, yeah. Some of the rumors I heard was that Piojo's he's not going to be an option.
Dylan Jimenez on the chat says that Piojo does not need to be a candidate. He says, I believe his quote is, "God, Piojo does not need to be a candidate." So there you have it.
Hey, I wouldn't mind Piojo. I actually really liked him. I never agreed with how the press attacked him during the Gold Cup. I just thought that was dumb. And then the whole thing that he got fired, I think that was just, we've seen it before. Some of the FMF guys lose their stuff. You had Aguirre kick a player from Panama. You had who was the assistant? Paco something. I think his name.
Frankie Haydude.
Paco Ramirez. He slaps Frankie Haydude after one of the Gold Cup games.
Someone should have slapped Paco Ramirez for every day he had that stupid soul patch on his face.
And and then we had who was it? Was it Necio, one of the FMF guys that?
Oh, he flipped off.
He got caught giving the middle finger, and I think the whole thing with
it was a culmination of Piojo with his
Green Party,
his political tweets, which again is against the law in Mexico. That was the first thing, and then the whole thing with his daughter, and you're right. Then the press went personal with him, and he, being who he is, went personal back, and it was. I mean, it was just a culmination of a lot of series of events that frankly a lot of us knew at one point or other were going to happen to him. Because of his temperament, and it happened.
Yeah, and it seemed like FMF kind of allowed it, like knowing who you have. You think you would have put someone there to prevent something like that from happening.
Right.
It's like they just let him loose. Like no one there to put a stop to that. It was like
It was, well, I mean, again, to me, the whole thing about flying commercial is just ridiculous. I mean, come on. You can't play in a tournament like that and then be in the security line at the airport the next day. With all the schlubs. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
And the trophy, running the trophy through the.
Yeah, exactly, running through the trophy through the X-ray. Yeah, it's just not the best look for Mexico or CONCACAF or anybody at that point. It was unfortunate, and for Piojo, it cost him a chance to be that guy. With his core group of players, to go to this upcoming World Cup, and it didn't work out for him. So, así son las cosas. So are we crazy to think that he's not going to be a candidate?
Well, he's Televisa guy. I think that gives him some juice. But you already saw how the press asked him twice. I don't know twice, but they asked him if because he was a Televisa man, and that's why he got the job. So I think that's another mark where the press would hold on to that. They would attack that.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess it remains. You're right, though. I think the fact that he is a Televisa guy could very well.
He could always be the bombero, though. So it's good. It's good to know that
he is. He obviously. I mean, that's as Dan would put it. I mean, his proceso was 3 weeks. Because I mean, he only had his full team for one friendly, and then like a week before the World Cup, or whatever it was. That's when he finally got his full team. He did pretty well with that. Joel, Cruz Azul, Chivas coming up. Does Chivas do they get the home win for Saturino?
Oh man, I don't know. I'll probably see a tie coming up. I would put Cruz Azul as favorites. But we'll wait and see, man.
So you think Cruz Azul favorite? The crystal ball doesn't. I was going to ask Dan about Santos plays on a Friday, so that's pretty interesting. We have up in Puebla Toluca.
Yeah, I mean, if you see like just the previous tournaments and under Almeida, Chivas didn't fare too well against the top teams, the traditional top teams.
They didn't fare too well against the mid teams or the bottom half teams. Okay, let's be honest.
I know, but in head-to-head, that's the whole thing that surprises me with my Chilla hermanos, man. They make it seem like Almeida was God's gift to Chivas, and it's like, man, only because we were playing some of these Molero Cups, it made him look really good. But just if you look at his league record, and then you compare how he did in head-to-head against teams like America, it's like it doesn't look too good.
So Chiva Hermanos are now. Would you consider these the younger Chiva Hermanos, Joel? Or
yes, they're quite young. They're new. I mean, dude, you're calling this guy like. I think that's the whole thing. They're experiencing the team winning. And this is a team, the Chihuahua Comet every 10 years.
Right.
So, but also it's important to note that some of these cups, LigaMX, they weren't playing them for a long time. A lot of these cups are new.
Right.
Cups, like bringing back Copa MX, bringing back Supercopa. and then the other Copa, I forgot what it's called.
Copa de
And then
Campeones.
Copa Campeones, and then how CONCACAF has improved the CONCACAF Champions Cup, because I mean, you and I, we remember when it was like they were held it over a weekend in Las Vegas in like a high school stadium. I'm not even joking.
Down in the valley in La Jolla.
It sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not, man. You would see actual stands, and there'd be like 50 people there, and just no one really cared about that cup.
Right.
And the way it is now, it's become more and more, just got professionalized, and it's been getting more prestigious. So, but just having more tournaments, that's helped, But for a long time, they weren't there, and you just had the league. But despite all those tournaments, if you're LigaMX, that's still the main competition to play. LigaMX is still, if you're a Mexican club, that's the biggest tournament you're gonna play. That's it. There's no Copa Libertadores until you get that. But for now, it's Liguilla. That's where you want to be at. That's where the majority of the money comes from, qualifying to the Liguilla or fighting for the league championship.
Right. No, it's.
Yeah, because I was telling you, I was using Cruz Azul as a comparison because not too long ago, Cruz Azul, they did the same Chiva thing. They won the CONCACAF and they won the Copa MX, and people were still making fun of them about Cruz Azularla and not qualifying to the league. I mean, so yeah, you celebrated at the time you win it, but then after a while, especially if you start doing bad in league, then those other tournaments stop being as important.
Sure. Would you say then, Joel, that Matias was a false prophet? Was he a false prophet? Did they make a false prophet out of Matias?
No, I don't think he's a false prophet. I just think he came in at the right time. He got to play some of the tournaments, Copa MX, when some of the other teams didn't care too much for Copa MX. If you look at the rivals that the team had to beat to get to those finals, it's like a bunch of second division teams.
That's not true. Come on.
Look at the list is there, man. Take my word for it.
Come on, Joel.
Maybe you played one or two.
You want to kick
one or two big teams,
your Chivas hermanos when they're down.
And it was their reserves. No, I mean seriously, go
there. In the group stage, yes, but I mean they played a good León team when León was still when they still had
Mullet. Can't remember, John.
And that was there. And it was. I remember it was in a descent. So they in the group stage, yes, because they have second division teams, but it wasn't like they were playing second division teams the whole time. Come on.
But see, and then even if you look at like the road to the CONCACAF, I mean, what big team did Chivas beat? Toronto did all the heavy lifting. Chivas didn't really beat anyone, man.
Chivas beat the
prestige
in front of them.
Yeah, but not anyone like a prestige that you could, That's so. I mean,
they beat the two-time MLS champions. It can't get more prestigious than that.
But the Mexican fans need to make up their mind, man, because one moment MLS sucks, and the next, the next beating this team is.
Well, you know how I feel about MLS, so.
You have a point. You both have a point, I guess. I think Toronto was a good team for them to beat.
Yeah.
But how can you do like Jekyll Hyde all of a sudden and like totally stink in LigaMX and then beat?
Okay, if you were to put that Toronto team in, would they qualify to Liguilla?
The reality is for Chivas was that they obviously didn't have the depth to play both tournaments. So they concentrated on playing the Conca champions, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, teams make those decisions. Look at Real Madrid. I know that Chivas is much better than Real Madrid. I don't want to upset Chivas fans. I don't want to stoop them down to Real Madrid's level. But Real Madrid, they've Does anyone even remember that they lost to Barcelona by like 19 points or whatever the hell it was, and then in the last La Liga? No, because they won their third straight Champions League. What do you think was more important to Real Madrid? So
Yeah.
So, but the point is taken, Joel, about Matias Almeida for your Chiva Hermano fans.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
So there is that. So he wasn't God's gift, but he also wasn't the worst thing that happened to Chivas either. You know, Chivas had a good run with him. They made Chivas fans believe again that they can actually win stuff. They did win stuff. You know, I had never been so called out as much the day that Chivas won the championship than that day. It just cracked me up. The Chivas fans that came out of the woodwork for that was just hilarious.
Yeah. No, I mean, look.
And cutting pictures of the standings and putting, well, here Pumas came in 17th. Okay, I get it. It cracked me up.
You know, but I'm gonna say this about Mati, because I like the dude, man. I like him, but if his run was so impressive, he would already had a job. He would have had offers lined up, and there's none. Honestly, there's been none. He's lobbying hard right now to land either Argentina or Mexico. But
he'll get back on his feet. He will.
I think he will, but probably back in LigaMX. He probably coach Puebla or something like that.
When they fire Rafa Puente Jr., he'll be right there, ready to go in Querétaro.
Who's Querétaro? I was thinking Puebla or maybe because no, not Querétaro, man. You're forgetting. That's another connection to Jose Luis Higuera, man.
Oh, that's right.
He's not working there.
Querétaro is like Veracruz is for Club America. It's like their little proxy team where all the lone players go.
Maybe Lobos Buap, man. He'll bounce back somewhere. I mean, if I were him, though, I would stay in Argentina. Maybe get a team that's in Libertadores, and if you could do a good run there, his stock would rise again.
No, I think he'll be fine. I think that, you know, whether it's Mexico or, like I said, a club team somewhere, he will definitely have work.
Bueno, chavos. On that note, I'm gonna sign off.
Well, it's probably a good time for everyone to sign off. We don't want to waste any more of your time. No, that's fine. No. We've been on for our customary 2.5 hours.
Yeah, our 1 hour show always goes to almost 3.
No, I think we've averaged about 2.5. It seems to work out.
No, it's good. Yeah.
And God bless you, listener, for sticking with us for 2.5 hours. We do appreciate it.
Yes, it helps if you drink something. Prefer with high alcohol content. The stuff we say starts sounding more and more intelligible.
Have you been drinking?
The more you drink, the more interesting we sound, huh?
Have you been drinking what?
I drank one. I drank one of those tall boy michelada drinks. Yeah.
So you're saying, Joel, that like kind of like they have like beer goggles? Would you say that there's also beer muffs to make what you're listening to more interesting as well?
Yes, beer muffs. But all right, gentlemen.
Well, Joel, it was a pleasure to have you on. We'll talk to you again next week.
Pleasure minds, John. Bye.
Later, man.
And I do want to thank Daniel Preciado for joining us earlier. We were hoping to get some of the other folks in the cantina, but alas, it was not to be. But Chiquis, we didn't get a chance to talk Pumas, Chiquis. We're going to wrap it up with a little Pumas talk. Somewhat encouraging, but I'm not holding my breath. That's my Pumas attitude, at least for the first month or so.
That team, that Veracruz team, was not very good. So I think Pumas has like some good luck in certain instances that might fool us, but yeah, we got to see the future, because this
Yeah, well, I mean,
Veracruz team
usually
was very bad.
when Pumas is bad, like they lose to bad teams too. So the fact that they got the win, I think, at least, again, and I'm not expecting miracles, but Pumas right now needs to concentrate on like they were last season. Just get your, just get any number above 20 points, and that way you don't have to worry about the relegation thing. Because I know that I did not realize how bad some of the teams below Pumas were. I thought Pumas were going to be in serious trouble after losing their big seasons off the books, but they've actually, the last season they had where they got 24 points really, really helped. If they would have had another like 14, 15 point season, they'd be in a lot of trouble. But they're a good 15, 16 points ahead of where they need to be. So, 3 points on the road, regardless of where it is, and LigaMX is always big. And I mean, it's hard to be a Pumas fan right now and have any kind of expectation of having expectations for them this year. If Pumas somehow manages to stumble into the Liguilla, it would be to me a successful season. But the priority for me is just get the points. Get the 20 points. If you make the Liguilla, great. If not, don't suck ass and only get like 12 points. Can't have that.
Yep.
So
yeah, we'll have to see.
But I do like that new guy Mora. He seems to be pretty good. And another Chilean, Pumas has been a Chilean stomping ground for the past couple of years, and there's definitely another one for Pumas. Chiquis, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks very much for setting the show up again this evening, as always.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be on.
Glad to have you on. And of course, Chiquis is the one who, once the show is done, processes and uploads to iTunes and Google Play, where you can listen to this and the previous editions of the CantinaMX podcast. So we hope that you, if you're not listening live, you can certainly download that from those two locations. Those will probably usually on within 12 hours after the show. I mean, maybe not 12, but I guess within 24 hours after we broadcast live. Usually Thursday nights, but tonight we did a Wednesday night, and our schedules are probably going to be bouncing around a little bit as the fall progresses here at the CantinaMX podcast. But we do thank you all for joining us. We will talk to you guys again next week. My name is John Jagu for Joel Aceves, Daniel Preciado, and Albert Campa. I want to wish you all a very good evening, and we will talk to you again next week.